I spent the last 2 years learning to draw while growing this art channel, all while keeping a full-time corporate job. The progress is way beyond what I thought possible, because I'm not talented and it's not like I'm putting in crazy hours. No, it's because I built habits that quietly compound over time. In this video, I want to talk about 3 habits that I don't hear anyone in the art community talk about, but that had and continue to have a huge impact on my transformation. The first one is to share the process and not just the result. What do you find more interesting, a finished painting or watching someone painting with their feet? Let's go less extreme. What do you find more interesting, a finished landscape or the same landscape done on location? Or even simpler, this finished piece that I did or the 3-layer process that I took to make it. Every single time it was more interesting to see anything about the process to make an artwork. It makes us appreciate the result much more. That's because our brains are wired to assign more value to transformations, how to get from A to B, rather than the end state itself. It's important for survival to map cause and effect, so understanding the process behind an end state is what we actually care about. When you share just the end result, it's just a pretty image. But when you share how, where, or why you made it, it becomes a story. And stories are what makes things valuable. In fact, all good stories are about transformations. That's what a character arc is. Changes in core beliefs.
I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care about anything.
I first came across the value of showing the process behind art when I was 13 or 14, I think. I stumbled onto this video here, in the early days of YouTube. Let's see if you guess who this super famous artist is. I used to hate his work. I didn't get it. It pissed me off that he was so famous. But seeing the creative process take place before my eyes made me feel things. It made me care. It made me start to like it. The cool thing is that sharing the process doesn't just change how others see your work, it also changes how you see it. When you get into the habit of giving importance to sharing what comes before or around your artwork or project, you become less attached to the final result. It makes it easier to put your work out there before you feel ready. And by doing so, you open the door to better feedback. Because feedback on a finished piece is often vague and unhelpful, but feedback on a work in progress can be specific and surprisingly insightful. I once ran a Reddit poll asking which one of these sketches do you prefer. It went viral and I got way more useful feedback than any polished pieces that I've ever posted. So stop focusing so much on the final result. Bring people into the work in progress. Share the direction that you're going in. Share the process. Invite people into your journey. It helps them care and it helps you grow. Years ago, I worked for a company that helps startups raise money. At its peak, I was an advisor to over 500 startup founders. Part of my job was to get good at spotting where my time was best spent, and I was struggling hard. I wanted to help everyone do everything. I grew and managed a small team, but it was not nearly big enough to stay on top of things. So I prepared this big internal presentation to make a case for growing my team further, to make sure that we could deliver all of this value and the financial returns, of course, that would come with it, etc., etc. But instead of hiring more people, my CEO did something I didn't expect. He made me and my team take a personality test. And it actually worked. I became aware of what type of professional I am. And with that awareness, I could put myself in situations where I shine. And for the situations where I don't, I could now create systems to help me navigate them successfully. That simple personality test made me much better at my job. It made me more productive and less stressed. And I think that every artist needs something similar. Not a test to put you in a box, but a way to figure out what drives you and what blocks you. Do you struggle with starting or do you struggle with finishing? Are you the type to go full on for 3 days and then nothing for 3 weeks? Or do you have 1,000 ideas but you don't know which one to focus on? Or are you a planner that thinks things through but never starts them? Or are you a regular practitioner that does stuff but doesn't really know where he's heading? These patterns matter because once you see them, you can stop fighting yourself and lean into what works for you and build systems for what doesn't. I couldn't find a test to answer those questions, and well, since I'm a nerd who likes to make stuff, I designed my own quiz. It's free, it's fun, and I hope it helps you find out what type of artist you are. Link in the description. Now, habit number 3 is very top of mind for me right now, and I wish I started it earlier. But before I share habit number 3, there is one more hack, let's say, that I wanted to share because it resulted in my first couple $100 online. So I'm really grateful that I started doing it. And that is to distill what you learn. For a long time, I took scattered notes here and there, and mainly on piece of papers, but I never looked at them again. And when I learned something, it was just here in my mind. But then I tried as an experiment to write down tiny 60-second lessons about the stuff that I learned in art, in work, and in life in general. And I started connecting them into categories and groups. And that really started to have an impact on how this knowledge is shaped in my brain. It became easier to extend, and I found myself learning faster. So I decided to go a step further and try something game-changing. I tried to rewrite these lessons as if my past self had to understand them. Doing this forces you to simplify concepts and helps you single out the key new knowledge that you gain. And to put it to the test, I moved over 100 of these distilled lessons into a Notion database. Still short and simple, but written in a way that everybody can understand. And then I allowed a small number of people in my audience to purchase lifetime access to it with money, pay. It was a way to see if there was enough value in them for others to benefit from, and also to keep me accountable, to keep growing it and improving it with their feedback, because now somebody had paid money for it. It's closed right now, so I'm not pitching it to you and you cannot have access to it. Next time I'm gonna open it, it's gonna be again to a limited number of people so that I can keep going through these rounds of feedback and improvement. But if this sounds like something that you do want to be part of, you can sign up in the waiting list. I'll put the link in the description. On to habit number 3, which is to think in seasons. I really wish I had started this much sooner. There's always some kind of seasons that you're going through, whether it's intentional or it's not. Right now I'm in a season. I hired a creator coach for 1 year. So this is my season of figuring out how this creator thing works. And my coach himself encourages me to split time into smaller seasons, 2 to 4 months. With a very specific focus in each one. If you think about it, this is exactly what companies do by breaking down the OKRs, objective and key results, into quarterly goals. Because this gives them structure. And most importantly, it gives permission to not do everything. It's how you prioritize, and it's how you avoid jumping to the next shiny thing and actually start finishing thing. So it's how you build momentum. So think in seasons. What's your next 3 months going to be about? What's the single transformation that you actually want? Pick a focus, name it, and build around it. But to implement these habits in your daily life, especially alongside your main commitment like work or study, you need discipline, right? Wrong. Discipline is misunderstood. In this next video here, I show you 3 tactics that I use daily to make sure that I follow through on my ideas without quitting my job or feeling overwhelmed, and most importantly, without the need of discipline. See you there.